Having recently launched a billion-dollar fund, U.S. real estate guru Philip Bloomberg, who is the CEO of Bloomberg Capital Partners, was in the region as part of his capital-raising efforts for his newly launched fund. While he was in Dubai, I had the chance to catch up with the chief executive, who told us how things were progressing with their latest launch, as well as where he sees investment opportunity in the Gulf real estate market. Philip, first of all, thank you very much for coming on Business Arabia. It's a pleasure having you here. You're in the region because you're promoting a new fund that you've just recently launched. Could you please start by giving us some details on this fund? And also, why now? Is it the right time?
Well, pleasure to be here, Nadine, first. And yes, we are cyclical market timing specialists. Our track record over the last 20 years is based on timing in a cyclical market, and certainly in the U.S., where the concentration of this fund's investments will be, is going through a market now which probably is the best investment market I've seen in 30 years. Prices have dropped dramatically, 60% in office buildings. But the driver for that has not been a bad market in terms of real estate. It's been over-leverage. It's a typical over-leveraging scenario, owners with much too much debt who bought at a peak in the market. The consequence is that those properties are going back to the banks. There's very little equity capital going into the U.S., and there's very little financing capital available. So the few buyers that are out there like us are able to take advantage of a very low pricing market and what's still a relatively healthy real estate office building market. That's partially because, unlike the residential market in the U.S., which went through an explosion of development, the office market had very little development. So the market is strong, and the market's getting stronger in terms of office buildings. On the other hand, we're also looking at opportunities to diversify abroad. We're looking at markets in Brazil and here in the GCC. So part of these trips to the GCC is to evaluate opportunities for new investment by this fund. It's a billion-dollar fund, and up to 30% may be invested in non-U.S. markets. Still, the core concentration is the U.S., where buying low and selling high makes sense, and where buying high and hoping for higher doesn't. And so we've been predicated on cyclical timing of that nature.
So, Philip, you're in the GCC right now, meeting with investors. How is that progressing? What can you tell us about the capital raising environment right now?
Well, certainly from the institutional investment community, we're receiving very strong commitments. So from an institutional investor, large institutional investors in the GCC, there's an appreciation for diversification in the U.S. But this fund also has a high net worth component. It is geared to individuals, high net worth investors, who I think, because perhaps of too much concentration of investment in the GCC, are finding that their investments are suffering and are looking for diversification. But I have to suggest to you that our fund's not a good fund if you're a high-risk investor. I don't like a lot of leverage. We're a very low-leverage fund. We go into very high-growth markets. We buy buildings and manage them vertically in a management organization, and we like to avoid risk. So although our returns have been very strong over 16 years, we don't look for short-term investing.
We're in Dubai, and obviously a very highly leveraged real estate sector here. What would it take for things to really turn around and to maybe hopefully see the real estate sector pick up and get on its feet again?
Well, first of all, it's a superb environment to have been built over the last 20 years. But there's some issues with regard to the ownership structure, regulatory, and legal issues that I think, if solved, would induce foreign capital flows and other capital flows that will shorten the cycle. The cycle first needs time. But secondly, there's fragmented ownership, certainly in the office building market. You have floors. You have an investor-generated generated supply, rather than a demand-generated supply. So that means that too much was built too quickly for investors rather than tenants. The consequence is that you've got a big overhang and a big vacancy that will take a good deal of time to recover from. The other problem is that ownership in office buildings, in many cases, is by floors and individuals. It's a very difficult way for a company like ours or an institutional investor in the U.S. to invest in a building where you're buying floors. We look to buildings where we have unified management, where we control it, and where we can lease it. So that's the first thing that needs to change here, is the ownership structure of commercial space. The second is regulatory. It's important to be able to rely on deliveries, and that the market and developer has a responsibility that's clear in the courts on what they owe an investor and what a landlord owes a tenant. And when those are solved, I think the cycle will shorten.
Well, I mean, very different markets, let's say the UAE and the US, but could you draw any parallels?
Absolutely. The residential market in the UAE and the US suffer exactly the same problem. Speculative buying, flipping, over leverage, and driving prices to unrealistic levels. Exactly the same thing happened. In the office market, it's very different. The office market, here you had overdevelopment, and it's a small market, so any weakness in supply trimmed back in terms of the values of the buildings. In the US, the problem is very different. As I mentioned, it's over-levered owners who bought at a peak, and they bought thinking it would continue up, much like the residential market. There was very little new supply, but the prices were at an all-time high. In fact, in our funds, we didn't buy in the last 4 years, which drove some of the highest returns in the country. We now see the consequence is some of the lowest prices we've ever seen in U.S. real estate, with owners who have to let their properties go. And that consequence, I think you'll see here in Dubai, but until those reforms I mentioned come into play, you won't have the capital flow coming in. In fact, in the U.S., we're looking at a value increase of probably 30% when we see capital flows restored, immediately 30% in the commercial market. Here in Dubai, the same thing will happen if capital flows from institutional investors can be stimulated.
Philip, let's talk about your business strategy. How important or how central is cyclicality?
It is absolutely central. You cannot, if you launch a fund in the wrong cycle or you buy a building at the wrong point, you cannot make it a good investment. You can only deal with trying to make it not such a bad investment. Over the last 20 years, our focus has been launching and investing at the bottom of a cycle and selling at the top. So the consequence was we launched, our last fund was launched in 2000. We bought from 2000 to 2005, 2006 to 2008, we sold. That was the exact opposite of many of our competitors, because when capital flows get too heavy into any market, it's time to look at selling. When the prices got to a level in the U.S., a 6% yield is about the yield that measures the minimum risk in real estate. When yields got lower than that, which meant people felt that the risk was lower, I sold. And in the long run, I think that's driven our return history. The other is that I hate risk, and I'm in a risky business. So as I mentioned, we don't have high leverage. We manage all our buildings. We don't let tenants get to be too large in our buildings. That kind of focus, along with cyclical investing, I think it combines to mitigate risk and generate very strong returns, not unrealistic returns.
Well, you mentioned returns. How much should intelligent investing produce, in your opinion, in terms of returns?
That's a good question, because when people have unrealistic return expectations, they probably are driven more by short-term greed than they are by long-term rational investments. In real estate, I think you need to be looking at returns no greater than 20, 22%, even in a bottom market. We produced, on our platform of 12%, we produced 17% returns over 16 years. That's because the markets generally go higher than one should anticipate when you start an investment program. And on the purchase side, they go lower. But if you gear your investments to generate 20, 25% return, you have to take high risk. You have to take high leverage. You have to buy buildings that are vacant and very low priced. And you have to take unusual operational risks. That's not my.
Well, we know what comes with high risk.
You do know. Eventually, the risk comes true.
Philip, just to finish off, one question about the region: where do you see opportunity in this part of the world?
Well, certainly, this and Brazil are our two prime focus for diversification outside the U.S. Here, we see good opportunity in smaller countries like Oman, which have good, strong oil revenues, but they also have a strong and very progressive government, and they have a good business base. On the other end of the spectrum, we look at Abu Dhabi, which, although suffering some price declines, probably more correlated to the general region than Abu Dhabi. There's opportunity because of slow growth, rational development, good town planning in the newer parts. And so we're looking at opportunities to invest in Abu Dhabi. Saudi Arabia is always a good market if one can get comfortable with the closed nature of Saudi Arabia.
Absolutely.
But we are looking in Saudi Arabia as well. Those are markets in this region that I think in the long term will be very strong. And I think ultimately in a few years we'll look here in Dubai again.